Hari Om viewers, welcome to Saujanya Speaks. The place is Prayag Ghat. The year is around 1684. It was raining heavily with thunder. People were running here and there for safety. Amidst all this chaos, an individual was sitting calmly on the banks of the shore, observing everything as if nothing was happening. A certain Brahmin named Ram Tarak Bhattacharya approaches this individual and says, "Swamy, please come along with me, I'll take you to a safer place." The individual says, "I am not at all suffering. Do you see the boat over there? It's going to drown any moment." Before this Brahmin could realize what was happening, the boat drowns, and at the same instant, this individual also disappears. The next moment, the Brahmin sees that the individual is in the boat along with the passengers, and the boat is brought to safety to the shore. Welcome to Saujanya Speaks. They just get on from the boat and go their way. But the Brahmin, who had been observing everything, understood. He rushes to the individual, falls on his feet, and is about to ask something. The individual realizes his mind and says, "Why are you so surprised? I haven't performed any miracle. In fact, you too possess such powers. Man is after the worldly comforts that are temporary, and he fails to recognize the supreme divine power that exists within himself. God has created the human body and he resides within it. So, ordinary divine powers. Of all the efforts that man puts to attain the transient worldly comforts, if he caters even 100 part of that effort to realize the intrinsic power within himself, then he can succeed. And then there would be nothing impossible for any human being. I haven't performed any miracle. Don't be so surprised and don't get unnecessarily drenched in the rain." Before the Brahmin could say another word, the individual disappeared. Dear viewers, this individual we are speaking about is none other than the Mahayogi SriTrailingaswamy. SriTrailingaswamy was born to a devout Telugu Brahmin couple, Sri Nrisimha and Vidyavati, at a village Holia in Vijayanagaram Mandal. Vidyavati had not conceived even after many years of marriage. So, Nrisimha had got married to another woman. But by God's grace, Vidyavati also conceived and she gave birth to a son on 19th December in 1607 on an Ekadashi day. He was named as Shivaramaya, who later in life came to be known as Sri Trailingaswamy. Nrisimha's second wife also gave birth to a son and he was named Sridhara. Shivaramaya was a very devout, compassionate and extraordinary child since childhood. He had remarkable memory power. He could remember anything by just looking at it once. He was totally disinterested in this worldly life. This physical world with all its shine and glory did not appeal to him. Shivaramaya's father was greatly worried by his son's aloof nature. He wanted to bring about a change in his attitude. He thought perhaps marriage will bring about the required change. And when this proposal was suggested to Shivaramaya, he immediately declined the proposal without the slightest hesitation. He said, "Father, why crave for this decaying transient world? My goal is to inquire about the intransient eternal entity. I am not interested in these worldly relationships." By this, Nrisimha was deeply saddened. But Shivaramaya's mother, Vidyavati, who was also a great spiritual person, understood that her son was no ordinary individual. And so, Shivaramaya was allowed to pursue his spiritual life. Meanwhile, his brother Sridhara's marriage was performed. Shivaramaya remained in yoga sadhana for many years. A strong intent to have a guru in life arose in him. And finally, around the year 1630, he met a famous, well-known yogi, Sri Bharatvarsha. Sri Bharatvarsha and Shivaramaya spent many years in tapas. And in the year 1636, Sri Bharatvarsha gave a diksha to Shivaramaya and gave him the name Trailingaswamy. However, in some books it's also mentioned that he was given the name Sri Ganapati Swamy. Sri Bharatvarsha gave up his mortal coil in the year 1640. When Shivaramaya's mother died, he was in a state of complete disillusionment. He remained in the burial ground to continue his tapas. His family convinced him to return home, but he said there was nothing for him to come back. So what if my mother is not there in her physical form? I feel the presence of my mother here, is what he said, and he continued in the meditative state for many years. Sri Trailingaswamy had given up all his worldly relationships with his family and he went on a pilgrimage. He moved from one place to another. He went to Rameshwaram. He stayed there for some time and then moved on to another place. He could not remain at one place for a long time because people around him would soon come to know about his yogic powers and they would flock around him. Unable to bear their attention, the Swami would just disappear from there. In this way, Sri Trailingaswamy reached Nepal around the year 1652. Years passed and Sri Nrsimha died. After some years, Shivaramaya's mother Vidyavati also left her mortal coil. Shivaramaya, who had been pursuing yoga sadhana all these years, was in a state of total disillusionment. Once it so happened that the king of Nepal was on a hunting trip. The king aimed at a tiger and fired a bullet, but the bullet had missed its target. The tiger got scared and, roaring wildly, it started running. The soldiers of the king started to chase the animal. The tiger ran and it reached the spot where Sri Trailingaswamy was meditating. When the Swami heard the roars of the tiger, he came out of his meditative state. And as he opened his eyes, his sight fell upon the tiger. This wild, ferocious animal turned into a meek creature and came and sat near the Swami. They were aghast at the scene. They saw the Swami sitting there and patting the tiger, and this tiger being seated meekly near the Swami. Sri Trailingaswamy very sweetly turned towards the soldiers and told them, "Why are you so surprised? There's nothing new in this. If you too give up your violent nature, then this violent animal shall not harm you. No one has a right to take another's life. So please give up your violent nature and do not harm anyone." The soldiers were speechless. And Swami told them, "Do not worry, the animal shall not harm you." And really, the tiger did not move from there. The soldiers took the blessings of the Swami and went away, returned back. This incident was reported by the soldiers to the king of Nepal. The king, being a very righteous person, wanted to take the blessings of this Mahayogi. The next day, the king went to Sri Trailingaswamy with many jewels and stones and gold. He placed all of the jewelry before the Swami. The Swami said, "What use are these to me? Please take them away." And Sri Trailingaswamy gave an Upadesha to the king of Nepal. This news spread far and wide, and many people came to seek the blessings of the Swami. Not able to remain there for long, Sri Trailingaswamy moved from Nepal to Tibet. Around 1661, Sri Trailingaswamy moved from Tibet to Manasa Sarovar. Here too, a strange incident occurred. A young widow lost her only son, to a snake bite. She was weeping uncontrollably. She had nobody else in this world. She prayed to the Swamy for help. Sri Trailingaswamy just touched the dead body of the boy, and the boy became alive. Before the people around could react, the Swamy just disappeared from there. Let's see another interesting incident in the life of Sri Trailingaswamy. It was around 1667. Sri Trailingaswamy had visited Sri Markandeya Ashram on the banks of river Narmada. There he met a great yogi, Sri Khaki Baba. In the words of Sri Khaki Baba, once when Sri Trailingaswamy went to take his bath in the river water, the water turned into milk. Khaki Baba also wanted to step into the river and have a sip of that milk. But as he stepped into the river, the milk turned into. Another interesting incident occurred here at Kashi. The king of Ujjain came to meet Sri Trailingaswamy. The king had with him a sword that was studded with gems and jewels that was a present by the British to him. The king very proudly presented the sword to the Swamy. Sri Trailingaswamy took the sword in his hand, turned it sideways, saw it, and threw the sword into the river. The king was stunned. He got angry. He said, "What did you do? I've given you a precious sword, and how could you just throw it into the water?" Sri Trailingaswamy put his hand into the Ganges and he brought out two similar swords and he placed them in the hands of the king. Sri Trailingaswamy moved about the different ghats in Kasi. He lived at Asi Ghat, at Hanuman Ghat, at Dasaswamedha Ghat, at Sri Vedavyas Ashram, and also at Panchaganga Ghat. He moved as a Digambara in the streets of Kashi. He was totally unconscious about his physical form. It also happened that the local police tried to arrest him several times, but they failed in their attempts. They realized that he was no ordinary mortal and let him be his own way. Sri Trailingaswamy lived for nearly 280 years. Sri Trailingaswamy lived for nearly 280 years on this Bharat Bhumi. We have evidence of the early 50 years and the last 50 or 60 years of his life. But what about nearly 150 years of his lifetime? Where was he? What did he do? In the words of Sadguru Sri Sivananda Murti Garu, Sri Trailingaswamy was in a great tapas for most of his life. And what was the sankalpa of his tapas? The protection, the preservation and the propagation of Sanatana Dharma. Yes, viewers, by the time of 1700, Western influence had begun upon our culture. Sri Trailingaswamy realized that due to the effect of Kali and other influences, Hindu culture would undergo certain decline. And so, with a great sankalpa to preserve Bharatiyata, Sri Trailingaswamy was in tapas most of his time. And according to the words, dear viewers, just as a wave cannot be differentiated from the sea, Sri Trailingaswamy is Ishvara. His consciousness is linked to the Supreme Consciousness. He is the Mahatapasvi, a great yogi, a Mahagyani who walked on this bhumi of Bharat. During his stay at Kashi, many great saints like Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo also had his darshan. Dear viewers, our gurus say every namaskar offered to a rishi or a gyani is returned with a number of blessings. So, having been born on this Punya Bhumi of Bharat, it is our minimum responsibility to know about the lives of such great saints and spread their message to one and all. It is also our utmost duty to live by the teachings of such great saints. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. And please like, share and subscribe to my channel.